Alrighty, folks. Earlier today, we talked with Jonathan Tomley. We specifically asked him, where is the opportunity in commercial real estate? And he flat out said, everywhere. As you saw in the video, I went ahead and pushed back, but basically he broke it down like this: that if you want yesterday's price, you have to give me yesterday's rate. And of
Right.
course, that immediately had me thinking about our boy, Mr. Stephen Dow at Velocity Mortgage, the creator of the 50-40-10, the co-creator of the 50-40-10,
I
the
was gonna
90%
say, don't give
CLTV.
you some love there, Mike.
There you go. Well, we're going to talk all about that, but we do got to get the marketing spiel out of the way first.
Thank you for remembering. Although I work very happily, as I'm doing right now, probably 15, 20 hours a day. Very happy for Velocity Mortgage Capital. But all the ideas and topics discussed on this channel that of my own. So let's get it going.
Yeah, so I thought that was a very astute quote that Jonathan said, right? If you want yesterday's price, you have to give me yesterday's rate. If you want today's rate, you have to give me today's price. And that obviously pays a big deal in commercial where cap rates have exploded, NOIs are down. And the reason I thought about you immediately was the 50-40-10 is the Swiss Army knife that can get somebody yesterday's price
Right.
and yesterday's rate by splitting up the purchase with a first and a second. So, what do you think of all that?
I mean, obviously, we've been pitching this particular concept for almost 2 years now. So 100% agree with you. It's just doing the numbers and understanding the overall blended rate between my financing and the seller financing. So I get what you're saying. So that's how you achieve to get,
Yeah,
last year's pricing, like you said. So it's a great tool. It just depends on the
yeah,
situation, man.
yeah. And again, Jonathan Tomley painted a great vision that it's coming. I know there's a lot of people that like the 50-40-10, but the numbers haven't worked. And Jonathan's like, we are right there. We're right on the cusp of something breaking. Because
Right.
in the commercial market, you're seeing days on market really expand. He's personally writing offers on properties that have been listed for a year. And I think a
Wow.
lot of retail investors, maybe the ones that watch this channel, don't realize how aggressive you can be on commercial properties, right? A lot of people see a list price and they're nervous to write something lower. And Jonathan's like, don't be nervous, write the numbers that make sense. And
Right.
Jonathan's like, dude, I mean, I'll go to an investor, I'll go to a seller and say, hey, that price doesn't make sense. Cost of capital is 8%, LTV is 55, blah, 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 blah. But hey, if you want to seller finance, give me a lower rate. It's a completely different ball game. And what people don't realize about the bigger stuff, and I'm talking, fives to 40 units, maybe five to 50s, is those sellers are much more open to seller financing than maybe, just a single family home. So I would implore one rental at a time fans that have the appetite, have the interest, are doing the work
Mhm.
to maybe start poking around bigger stuff. I mean, this product works on bigger stuff, right?
Agreed. No, 100%. You could use it on both multifamily, five or more, residential units, mixed use, and even straight commercial. So, um, yeah, the allowance of the 90% CLTV is across the board on all property types that we do. So, definitely for different situations, even on commercial. So, as little as
Yeah.
10% down on commercial, and if it can maybe cash flow from day one on a multifamily, it's not a bad deal.
Yeah.
And I saw the
I mean,
video that you were talking about with Arnold Schwarzenegger, how he talked about how he
yeah,
became a millionaire, and it was through
yeah,
real estate. He said he used to have this one like lady that he used to, I guess it was a neighbor or something like that, was like, you got to invest your money in some, like, yeah, you know what I mean. And then she got him into like a 6 unit, and then
six
from
unit.
there,
Yeah.
that's how he made his millions. Yeah. So I saw that
Yeah.
video. It was funny.
Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a millionaire before he became a famous actor.
Yeah.
And it was all because he house hacked a sixplex.
Hmm.
And, well, Velocity Mortgage, I believe, won't allow, with your lending products, do not allow this on 4 units and below.
No, no,
You
no, no.
offer it
Five or more.
five or more. You could do a
Right.
commercial. You could house hack an apartment building with Velocity.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's again just doing the work. If Jonathan is, he's pretty right usually. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. No
yeah.
joke.
So as things are starting to head in that direction, I mean, like you said, it doesn't hurt to start poking around, making an offer. Worst thing you can say is no. And if the numbers, if we could try to structure something that makes sense, and then you make the offer, if they accept it, then we're
Yeah.
off to the races. If not, like I said, the worst thing you can say is no, but it's worth a shot.
There are mom and pop. Again, this is all from Jonathan, and he's like, there are mom and pop landlords who own the property a long time.
Hmm.
There's just time for them to sell, and they remember
Hmm.
yesterday's price. And Jonathan's like, just tell them, hey, I can give you that price. Just give me yesterday's rate also.
Hmm.
And, then they come to Velocity. It's like, hey, you know what? I can get you up to 60% of your capital now. You just got to
Right.
carry back a 40%. It's kind of a sweet win-win.
Right. I think so. I mean, just depends on the circumstances. But when you come across those types of circumstances where it allows for something like this to happen, it usually ends up just being a win-win situation for all parties involved. The only main difference is the seller gets some of their proceeds delayed. Otherwise, as you kind of go through the process, you could see the benefit on both sides. So,
Yeah.
what's a phone call
Well,
worth an email? You never know.
there you go. Not only forget they get some of their money delayed, they also delay some of their taxes as well. Let's
That's
not
what I
forget
mean.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good.
It, it is. So, just hopefully, at some point in time, those are going to start to kind of, I think, trickle in. Uh, Definitely a lot more people are starting to know about the concept and do inquire. It's just that I think the initial numbers might maybe, give them a little bit of sticker shock until maybe they do some homework and maybe make the
Yeah.
right offers based upon those numbers instead of like calculating and trying to fit based upon, you know what I mean? Past
Yeah, that's a
numbers.
good
So
point.
in any case,
I think a lot of folks, I think understanding the flexibility of the Swiss Army knife is cool, but you really
right,
should do the math up front
right,
instead of saying, "Oh, what's the price?" and kind of doing the math on the back end. Do the math
right.
like what could you pay if a
Mm-hmm.
40% second at two and a first at this, and
Correct.
I
And then
think
when you
that's
make the pitch, it's like the numbers don't lie. You have a much more meaningful conversation with the seller. They see the big picture. Ah, I get it. Instead of like it's back and forth of like, what can you take? What can you hold? What are you willing to hold? It's like, no, here's what I needed at. Here's what makes sense. Here's what I think would be a benefit to you. You got to tell me if that's a priority to you or not. Otherwise,
right.
it's a yes or no pretty much at that point.
And again, I'm again, the more and more I riff with you on this, I'm really thinking about telling one rental at a time fans to get ready to write two offers, even on a 40 unit building, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you want, if you're going to make me get today's rates, here's today's price. And oh, by the way, it's disrespectful. But here's a second offer at yesterday's rates, and
Right.
it's a little bit better. Which one do you want? I think
Right.
that's something we got to get better at. So I think I need to talk about that more, and it's just math.
Yeah,
But if somebody
exactly. That's
wanted to
all it
reach
is to
out to
me.
you, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
math, right? Yeah. So if they want to
But
reach out to
again,
you and ask you some questions, how do they do that?
normally, again, email's the best. That's going to be the SDAO at velocitymortgage.com. In the subject line, please put the acronym ORAAT to make it past the firewall. Some people forget that extra A. Body of the email, maybe a brief description, what you're looking for. Property address would be super helpful. At least city and state to make sure I can lend there. Maybe your mid FICO score and a phone number, or I should say, best phone number to reach you at. And I'll typically be in touch within 24, 48 hours.
Awesome, man. You're amazing. I really do think this CLTV, 90% CLTV loan is right on the cusp of taking off because sellers at some point need to realize that they're not going to get yesterday's price. So maybe
Right.
it's better to be flexible. So should be fun. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.